Hello everyone, Curious Corduroy here, and today we're going to be doing another reaction video to another Mojo Plays video for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This one might be a bit controversial, I might get canceled for this one. It's the top 10 best and worst things about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I love the game, I think it's incredible. It's not without its criticism, so I'm kind of curious to see what criticisms they have here of the game, but also what they think is the best, because there's a lot to love about it. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. If any of that sounds cool to you, you can click the like button, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All right, let's get started.
Tell me something that'll really make my blood boil.
Oh, I will. I will.
I will. I will.
I love Barrett.
Welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're defying destiny and highlighting everything great and not so great in
Chadley.
Square's second entry in the Final Fantasy Remake saga. Possible minor spoilers ahead.
Good warning. Yeah, they're probably going to have spoilers in this video. I might mention some spoilers when I give examples. You've been warned.
Nice work.
Nice work. I love that line. It's very Superman of Tyler when he says it. It's just great.
Before we
great
continue,
delivery.
best performance.
And heiress to boot, huh? That's another $500,000 on top.
$500,000?
Given that we're about halfway through the PS5's projected life cycle,
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. It really kind of feels like these consoles just came out yesterday. And we're already getting rumors of like PlayStation 6, the next Xboxes, Nintendo's got the Switch 2 coming. It really just feels like yesterday, but I think because of the pandemic, it just kind of warped time, and it feels like we lost time, honestly, with the consoles. But usually towards the end of a console's life cycle, that's when the developers really kind of squeeze all the technical juice out of it. So I would expect part 3 to be technically more impressive, and the devs have already said that they learned a ton making Rebirth on the PS5 as well as on the PC. So issues that may have popped up in this game will probably get resolved in part 3, just based on everything they've learned, and some of those issues they probably have solutions for. So that should be pretty exciting to look forward to.
devs are becoming very comfortable with the hardware.
Yep.
And Rebirth is by far one of the system's standout titles. Not only is the game absolutely gorgeous, but it runs like a dream no matter your preference of graphical settings. Given the scale of some of the bosses and even regular enemy encounters, the game never struggles, even with the possibility of every character unleashing a screen-filling ultimate attack or spell. The seamless transition between cinematics and gameplay, and the near-seamless world brimming with lush and vibrant detail, makes exploring the world a constant joy. Given the scale of the world and how much effort was put into its realization, there are occasional moments of pop-in, but it's only a minor distraction that doesn't affect the overall experience.
I told you, I can take it.
I can take it. Yeah, performance-wise, Rebirth is a game that shouldn't work, technically. Unreal Engine, which is what it runs on, was never meant for open-world games, but yet developers find ways to make open-world games work. And Rebirth is kind of unique because it's, I think, the only kind of game of its type and size that actually works and runs on Unreal without many issues. Little to no load times, it runs seamlessly. One of the only issues you run into is texture pop-in. And on performance mode, it does look blurry from a distance. There's a lot of pop-in, but that honestly is just kind of like a feature of Unreal at this point that is really hard to avoid. It's just texture pop-in. I don't know if even Unreal Engine 5 is going to fix that. Even playing something like Clear Obscure, when you're on the world map, it has texture pop-in, and that's running on Unreal Engine 5, so that seemingly is just a hallmark of Unreal. But the fact that this game runs the way it does is like science magic. It's insane. Also visually, holy crap. It's a beautiful game. The graphical fidelity is great, but the art style really complements just how good this game looks in terms of its environments, the characters, the outfits, the weapons. It looks incredible on a PS5 Pro, and I've caught myself on multiple occasions looking at the characters, specifically Cloud, and I'm like, I think Cloud has more hair. You can see like the individual strands of his hair so much better. Same with Tifa, the facial hair on Barrett. The game is beautiful and it runs very, very well. Other than like some of those weird performance things, which unfortunately is just, I think, part of the fact that the PS5 might have been a little underpowered for some of that stuff. But again, when they get to part 3, I think some of that stuff might be ironed out a little bit. But this game is insane. The fact that it even runs is pretty incredible.
Worst, padding.
Padding.
Well, there is one other option. Only cost you $1,000. Is what a scoundrel might say. But I wouldn't dream of distressing y'all further.
2020's remake was widely criticized for padding the game, used to extend the game's length given it only covered the opening section of Midgar, which in the original game only consisted of roughly a handful of hours depending on your playstyle. While Rebirth has made great strides in this department, there are still many moments that feel unnecessarily long. Simple actions or quests often require extended detours, and what would normally take a couple minutes becomes an hour-long endeavor. For example, in Costa del Sol, players can't access the beach until they don a swimsuit. Instead of simply allowing players to purchase one or find it, they need to complete a series of odd jobs just to obtain one. And this needs to be repeated multiple times, which can turn into nearly an additional hour of game time when players are simply trying to progress through the story.
Did you miss us?
Cloud?
Something wrong?
No, nothing.
Best.
We were all Cloud in that moment. As far as padding goes, padding is kind of weird because I feel like it's different for everybody. It depends on whether or not you enjoy it. And for me, I enjoyed almost every aspect of this game. Side quests, mini games, and I think a lot of it is carried because of the writing being as good as it is. And the characters, they're so good, they're so well written, and just like going on these mini games and these side quests that should be boring, they're not, because the characters carry them so heavy. And on top of that, like the big theme of Rebirth are bonds. So you want to see these characters actually like bond together, which is why they go and do these things of like, you can't just get a swimsuit, you got to actually work for the swimsuit. So you see like the bond between Tifa and Aerith kind of get stronger. Red 13's also there. So it kind of depends. For some people, the padding is bad, the padding isn't. I've seen tons of comments on my channel from people saying that they didn't like the padding in Rebirth. They felt it was too padded, rather, instead of, you know, what I said previously. So it is different for different people. But funny enough, when you play through the game a second time on New Game Plus, you don't have to do any of this stuff. I got to Costa del Sol and fully expected to have to do the mini games to get the swimsuits, and no, the swimsuits were just unlocked already because I got them in the previous game. So second playthrough, you don't have to do much of this stuff. It's all done for you already. So that's kind of nice. But again, padding is kind of weird because what some people might view as padding, other people might not. But this is a common criticism that I see from a lot of people, which is, you know, warranted.
Fleshing out the story.
Wait, seriously? I mean, we don't actually have to fight. That is, unless you really want to.
The original Final Fantasy VII is one of the most well-known narratives in gaming, but the overall story is not complete within the game itself, and numerous additional works have been helpful in fleshing out the world in the years since. However, with Rebirth, Square has managed to incorporate much of that additional material into the game alongside fleshing out the beloved characters and world even further than ever before. With the game's new relationship system, players are encouraged to spend more time and build up their bonds with their companions, and are endlessly rewarded for doing so. Additionally, with the new script as well as voice acting, fan favorite characters are given new depth and moments to shine throughout the game. Smaller and once inconsequential areas are also given new meaning and backstory, so every place and NPC you encounter feels unique and important.
We're done.
Wait, don't go! Third time's a charm. Come on, you stupid thing.
Yeah, that's one of the big things I appreciate about this remake trilogy being a trilogy, is that they can actually spend time in each game fleshing stuff out. Now again, you flesh some stuff out. Some people might view it as padding, like in 7 Remake when Cloud goes with Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge to the upper plate to visit the mom, but they're really there to get the ID from her dad. Some people view that as padding. I enjoyed it, so for me it didn't feel like padding, even if it may have been padding. Again, padding is such a weird kind of nebulous term to kind of define, but they get to flesh out the characters, the relationships, the combat, the world exploration. They also get to take stuff from the compilation and now integrate it organically right from the get-go. Because with the OG FF7, afterwards came the compilation, and it kind of retconned some stuff from the original game. They tried to tack on some new stuff that did work. Some of it didn't work. Oh God, what was that anime, The Last Order, which was super controversial. That's an example of how not to do things. But again, just like learning more about these characters. Part 3 is going to be even crazier because there's going to be the Shinra Wutai War. They're fleshing out so much and adding so much, and they have the time to do so. So I very much appreciate it. And they flesh out everything every chance they get. There's a reason for everything in this game. Side quest, okay, cool side quest, or boring side quest. You got great characters. They're developing. It's great. Oh God, it's Chadley.
Worst, Chadley.
Chadwick.
Detecting internal monologue.
Chad Michael
What
Murray.
the hell's this weirdo doing here?
Once a minor annoyance in Remake, Chadley has evolved into a full-blown irritation in Rebirth. With Cloud and company setting foot outside Midgar and exploring the many regions of Gaia, Chadley of course tags along to continue his research. However, his quest for knowledge interrupts nearly every aspect of the player's open world exploration, with him and his new companion Mai calling in after almost every action Cloud performs in the open world. Found a fiend combat trial? You get a call. Found a life spring? You get a call.
Wipe your ass? You get a call.
Unlocked a Remna Wave tower? You better believe you're getting a call. Sometimes he'll even call back to back after your initial discovery caused him to find something new for you to investigate. You'd be hard pressed to not constantly roll your eyes and skip all of Chadley's dialogue every time you hear a call coming in. At least Mai is giving Chadley a taste of his own medicine.
Oh, yes, of course. I seem to have gotten caught up in the excitement.
I swear.
Even the characters get annoyed with Chadley. I think it was done on purpose, truthfully. The characters get annoyed with Chadley, and then Chadley ends up creating Mai, who then gets on his nerves, and it's kind of meta because now Chadley, the way he's reacting to Mai is how the characters and some of the players are reacting to Chadley. He's like, oh my God, this chick will not shut up. She's so annoying. He even goes as far as to mute her at some points in the game, which I think is hilarious. Now for me, I'm in the minority. I'm one of the few people who doesn't really have a lot of issues with Chadley. I didn't mind him, especially when you get to know more about the character. He's kind of like Pinocchio. He's a cyborg. He questions his life. What's going to happen to me when I die? Will I return to the planet? And he's having you do all this stuff because he's trying to archive it. He wants to learn about the planet, but he's also archiving it because they don't know what the hell is going to happen to this planet moving forward. So by the time you get to the end of Rebirth, I'm like, yeah, I get it. And there were some moments where he did egg me on a little bit. I've mentioned this in previous videos, and I lost my cool. But for the most part, I didn't really mind Chadley all that much. I thought Mai was kind of funny too. And funny enough, I did have some people leave comments saying like, oh, you didn't have issues with Chadley, you must be an AI sympathizer. It's like, no, if we can use AI to help people make jobs easier, I'm all for that. Fuck that generative stuff though. It steals work from people. It replaces their jobs. All those big tech CEOs can screw off with the crap that they're trying to do. Just let artists be artists. Let tech help us do laundry. Let tech help us do dishwashing, make it for the simple stuff in life so we can enjoy, the art that we can create. There's a really good meme that I saw recently about how, I don't remember the full meme, but it was something along the lines of AI should help me do like the mundane stuff so I can enjoy like the fun creative stuff. That's kind of how I view it. So there's that. In part 3, I'm still under the belief something bad's going to happen to Chadley, and it's going to be because of Hojo. He still has his claws in Chadley, and I think we might lose him, which I think is going to play into the gameplay aspect of part 3, because again, these devs don't just do things just to do them. There's a plan behind all of it. And one of the big critiques people had of Rebirth is that it felt too checklisty. You open up the map, tons of icons everywhere, it tells you what to do, so there's a lack of spontaneity there. And that's something that even the devs have addressed already in interviews that they've done, last year, where they said in part 3, they really want the player to have more player freedom, not just with combat, so combat's going to get crazier, but they want more player freedom in regards to exploration, how you discover things, and they do want it to be how it was in the original game. In the OG FF7, you had the world map, but there was no icons. You had to explore to find things on your own. And I think a really good example of that, and I'm not pitting these two against each other, is the game Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It's got a world map, you head to certain areas, and when you get to an area, it's big, but it's relatively contained, meaning you have the path in front of you of where you need to go, but there's a few branching paths where you can find items and pictos, super bosses, which is pretty cool, and then the further into the game you get, some of those branching paths will have their own branching paths. So it's kind of cool, and you come across enemies and all of these items, and it feels organic and very spontaneous, which I think a lot of people want from 7 Remake and Part 3, and I do think we're going to get that. And I think that's probably going to be because we might lose Chadley. So I honestly would not expect Remna Wave Towers. I wouldn't expect the little Chadley gun that we're checking like every 5 seconds. I think that the devs full well know that part 3 will be that like big globe-trotting adventure where we get to go and explore. And every game has been, a progression. 7 Remake, super linear. Rebirth, open field, as Hamaguchi likes to call it. Part 3, probably truly open world. And we'll get to explore like we did in the original game, which should be pretty cool.
Best combat.
Yes! I've been beating the drum of this game's combat for years. I may have spit a little bit. Roche is so cool. Man, what a sad ending for Roche. He's not dead, but
Square's approach to combat in Remake was nothing short of stellar. The ability to play the game as an action hack and slasher while also using the game's traditional turn-based combat to micromanage your party's actions is a gameplay style we wish more RPGs would adapt. Somehow, Square managed to make the combat in Rebirth even more impactful while also adding a wealth of new features. The addition of synergy moves allows for far more strategy than limit breaks and offers even more chances for a flashy finish to big encounters. These synergy moves also affect your relationship with your companions in the base game, as the more you unlock and use them, the more it will increase your standings with the members of your party. That's not even mentioning all the additional ways players can create their own builds using the various materia and weapon skills, as well as weapon and party levels, unlocking even further options for customization.
Magnificent work, Cloud. Have this region's fiends proved a fitting challenge?
One glance at the data will tell you they are clearly no match for him.
I don't recall asking you.
Best.
Yeah, I love this game's combat. To me, it is the perfect evolution of the Final Fantasy franchise. I think it's phenomenal. I've been saying this in past videos, so I'm going to sound like a broken record. It is the perfect combination of what came before and also the evolution of Final Fantasy. So you've got the turn-based, command-based menu system elements. I always stress the words elements here because it's not truly turn-based, and I've had some people twist my words in the comments saying that I think this game is true turn-based. It's not true turn-based. It has elements of turn-based combat with the command-based menu system, ATB charges, the tactical mode, which slows things down and you can, search through that menu, but it really embraces the real-time action. And to me, that is the perfect way to take the RPG genre, JRPG in particular, and push it forward. You put your stamp on it, you've made something new that blends old and new, and now you get to kind of move forward with that. And I really would love to see Square Enix use this combat system in future Final Fantasies that aren't Final Fantasy VII. I think it's the perfect way to push that franchise forward. And there's been so much talk of, turn-based combat and people wanting Final Fantasy to go back to being turn-based, which I get it. I understand. It's a great genre. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is mostly true turn-based, and it's incredible. I say mostly true turn-based because it's reactive turn-based. That's what Sandfall Interactive, the devs have labeled it. So you've got the turn window, you've got the command-based menu system where you pick all of your abilities, but it's reactive in the sense that they've added real-time elements to that combat, kind of how FF7 has done. So you've got real-time parry, real-time dodge, real-time jump, and counterattack. So it's not technically OG true turn-based. Sandfall has put their stamp on it, and they're trying to evolve that genre going forward. And again, there's QTEs in there which have existed all the way back to games like Super Mario RPG, Legend of Dragoon, Lost Odyssey, but I think adding the parry system, the dodge, and the jump and counter really kind of makes it unique and pushes it forward. And I just like that there's options. If I want to play a Clair Obscur, I can play a Clair Obscur, but I also genuinely adore the combat system in this game. It's like my favorite combat system in I think a game in general. It's just so much fun, and I love it. I just want to see them use it going forward.
Minigames.
Oh god,
and
minigames.
side quests.
You don't
Crybaby Ned.
Queen's blood, do you? I was hoping that... Oh, what am I thinking? You look like you'd murder me.
The Final Fantasy series is renowned for their minigames and side quests. And while Remake didn't have a wealth of options,
Gears and
Rebirth
Gambits
more than makes up for this oversight. The new card game Queen's Blood might be one of the franchise's best and most addictive card battle or minigames for that matter, and the game's numerous side quests offer a surprising amount of variety, so players will rarely be completing the same quest more than once. Given the scale of the game, the sheer wealth of options for players to engage with in every region is enough to make players track down every icon on their map. The Gold Saucer itself could almost be a standalone experience with the number of different minigames available, all with their own gameplay styles. It's enough to keep players engaged for hours trying to reach the top of the leaderboards and earn every reward from the numerous prize booths.
Muscle in and exchange your gold saucer points for fabulous prizes.
Yeah, funny enough, I think minigames, more than side quests, I'd say minigames are, you could split those down the middle. I've seen a lot of people on my channel in particular say they hated the minigames. There was too many minigames. They didn't like playing the minigames. And the funny thing is, most of those minigames are optional. I don't think you have to do that many in order to progress the story. There's just like a handful that I can think of that you have to do. But my advice would be, and I try to follow this when I play open world games, if I'm doing a specific thing and it's burning me out and I'm not enjoying it, you gotta stop. Don't force yourself to complete that stuff before you move on. If you're souring on the side quest stuff or mini games, stop it, come back to it at a later time. The last thing you want to do is burn yourself out. And when it comes to the mini games in this game, I did everything once. If there was something I didn't care for, I didn't go back to it. I didn't even care about the rewards or the unlocks that they would give you. I just wanted to do everything once, at least once. And if I liked it, I'd repeat it. If I didn't like it, Gears and Gambits, I would just do it the one time I had to do it, and then we moved on. So it's kind of odd, I guess, to complain about something that's optional, especially when Rebirth like packs in a ton of content. And it is kind of weird to complain about a ton of content in a game. I can understand it being overwhelming, but it's mostly optional. As for the side quests, some of these side quests should not work. Some of these side quests in other games would suck. Escort missions? You kidding me? Escort missions suck. In this game, it's incredible. You get to escort a dog, and you get great music, and you get great dialogue with Cloud and Barrett. You get a lot of really wonderful stuff. So again, a lot of this is carried by the writing and those character interactions and the fact that the combat is so good. That's what makes all of the side quest stuff still worth doing. So it's a mixed bag when it comes to that, but you know, whatever.
Worst. Everything
Speak of the devil, everything is a minigame. I'm curious to hear what they say here.
is a minigame.
I've applied a final update to RoboChat, which should allow you to handle whatever comes your way.
This one is a bit of a double-sided coin, however, because nearly every quest or activity players engage with is itself a minigame.
And optional. I want to stress, it's optional, but I get it. Like Gears and Gambits, the stuff hidden behind it is really good. You get to learn more about Avalanche. You get to actually have a proper send-off to Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse. So I can understand being upset, like, I gotta do this shit in order to get the good stuff. I get it. I get it. I get it.
While this isn't much of a problem early on, constantly repeating the same actions over and over again can become tedious, and each region adds new variations to the minigames, forcing players to learn brand new mechanics for this one specific activity. Another annoyance comes from nearly every minigame utilizing different control schemes, even if the game is similar to one players have already completed. The team at Square deserves recognition for implementing so many varied and unique minigames for players, but the sheer number of them can become grating, especially towards the end of the game when the story begins ramping up and is constantly interrupted by new mechanics.
Sorry. Just forget I said anything. I'm really tired is all. Too many competitions lately.
Bet.
Okay, Queen's Blood, best minigame ever. Piano minigame, I love it. I've seen some people say they don't like it. It's a rhythm thing, you just gotta feel it out. I love the piano minigame. I've said my piece on minigames already, but can we talk about boxes? Oh my goodness. When I got to that section of the game where you play as Cait Sith and you're working with Bear and Aerith and you gotta use boxes, oh man. Because it starts off so fun, so silly. Okay, we've got boxes. I got to use boxes with these weird control schemes to unlock Bear and Aerith. I get it. They're like, okay, fine. Move on to the next area. What do you see? Boxes. Okay, more boxes. Move on to the next area. I have to take a box and I have to Michael Jordan it into his big old drum? No. Next area. Boxes. Next area. Boxes. It's a nightmare of boxes. If it was 1 or 2 rooms, it would be fine, but they killed it. By the time I got to room 3, I'm like, I don't want to see another box in my life. It was just too much. The control schemes were weird. That is legitimately not a good section of Rebirth. I think most people would say it's bad. What I do like about that section, though, to look at the positive, the music. That version of Cait Sith's theme is so whimsical. It's like what I would imagine you would hear if I was taking like my niece to a haunted house for kids and it was this fun, like whimsical environment. I would hear that music in the background. I love that arrangement of Cait Sith's theme. It's so spooky. I love the vibe. It's wonderful. I don't mind the combat section either with Cait Sith in that section of the game. It can be tricky because he's the only character you use. But the thing about Rebirth is if you're only using 1 or 2 characters, chances are that section was designed for you to take full advantage of that character. And in order to survive the Cait Sith section, you need the Moogle. You really got to rely on the Moogle. It takes damage for you. It attacks. It can distract the enemy while you do your thing. So that's such a weird section of the game. Boxes, man. After I finished that, I didn't want to see another box in my life. Oh my gosh, I'm boxed out. Next, gameplay variation.
Best gameplay variation.
A clash between 2 players of your caliber would surely be one for the ages. I can't wait to watch.
Variety is the spice of life, and Rebirth has it in spades. Every region has either its own chocobo variation or a completely different mode of transport, like the absolute unit that is the Corel region's all-terrain vehicle. The variety also carries over to the game's many optional quests and minigames. While many of the side quests still involve the game's stellar combat, rarely do these devolve into simple fetch quests like in the series' past. While much of the side content is optional, the sheer diversity of options for players to engage with is nothing short of astounding. Later sections in which the player takes control of other characters opens up even further gameplay possibilities, with Yuffie opening up a grappling hook option, and later Red 13 being able to scale sheer walls. Each of these mechanics works remarkably well in a game already overflowing with various systems all working in tandem.
What? No way, I never do that.
Work.
Yeah, the variation is really, really nice. It's super refreshing. And the thing is, if they really wanted to, they could have made every area just like a flat square or circular section of the map. You go there, you do the same thing, it would have been boring. But they try to do different things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think a good example of that is Gungaga. Trying to navigate that was a bit of a pain in the butt. I applaud them for trying to do something different and unique. It's just sometimes trying to figure out what mushroom I needed to jump on to get to where I wanted to get was a little bit frustrating. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, when it came to like spontaneous exploration. You can kind of do that in Rebirth already. I had a few situations when I was playing through the game where I never opened my map. I just explored a new area on my own, and I came across something. Gungaga's the best example of that. You get there, the cutscene plays, and the game wants you to move forward, but I didn't do that. I looked to my left, I saw a path, and I'm like, I'm gonna go down there. And I fought some enemies, I came across a shack, and you meet that really goofy weird dude who makes a weapon for Barret once you do his side quest. And I'm like, whoa, I did that on my own. I discovered it on my own. I didn't go to the bulletin board. I didn't see it on the map. I found that. So I think that's what we'll get more of in part 3, as well as more variation with the environments and the characters and the chocobo. I kind of hope we don't have to wrangle our chocobos in part 3. It was kind of a fun, cute thing to do at first, but by the time I got to Nibelheim, I'm just like, give me my chicken. Give me my chicken. Let me explore. I don't want to have to wrangle it with these mini games. It's cute. I appreciate they tried to do something different, but I'd like to just move forward, you know. Worst, minor annoyances. Oh God.
Worst, minor annoyances.
Hello and welcome to Shinra Manor. Trespassers.
While the majority of Rebirth is one of the most polished titles in quite some time, there are still some minor grievances that keep the game from being a perfect experience. The addition of climbing to the game's exploration is a bit hit or miss. The mechanic amounts to nothing more than pointing the analog stick in the desired direction, with the game often not registering the input and Cloud getting stuck on the terrain.
You gotta move the camera. I found that when that happens, you have to move the camera so your analog can read the right direction. I don't know if that's just a problem with this game. There might be other games that have climbing that do that too. I think Ghost of Tsushima might also have that issue. Horizon, you gotta move the camera. It's an annoyance, like they said, but that's all it is.
A couple technical issues also pop up whenever the game enters an enclosed area, with the camera becoming stuck or unable to properly follow the character, as well as the game's music volume occasionally playing too loud in the background of dialogue-heavy scenes. These, however, are only a handful of technical issues that in no way detract from what is an otherwise entirely enjoyable experience.
Don't take your youth for granted. All right? You only get one shot at life. And you can't let Shinra take it from you. You can't let them win.
Best.
Yeah, the audio balancing in this game is a little inconsistent. The one I remember the most, it's towards the end of the game when you unlock the pirate side quest. I remember Red 13's telling you the story of the pirate quest, and I'm like, I'm trying to hear what he's saying, but the music is too loud. It's overpowering, so I had to go in and lower the music a little bit, and even then it's a little too loud. So some of the audio mixing is a little funky in the game. There's the weird camera stuff. I'm trying to think, are there any like annoyances I've run into, like weird bugs? I think I've seen some people early on get stuck on the rocks, but that was patched. So for the most part, again, an open world game like this, running the way it does with very minor annoyances is pretty impressive. Also, I just thought of something. Going back to the gameplay variation, that's a big thing I appreciate about the side quest, is it's not just the same thing over and over again. You're doing something different almost every time. And that was an issue I had with Final Fantasy XVI, where I felt like there was a handful of side quests you would do, and you did them over again and over again and over again. Go collect this flower, go fight a trash mob, go find somebody, go find an ingredient. It wasn't that varied, but within Rebirth, it's much more varied, which I appreciate. Environmental design.
Environmental design.
Great fight. Love this fight.
Gee, I hadn't noticed.
Focus. Given the player is exploring nearly the entirety of Gaia itself, naturally, there would be some variation to the environments. But maintaining the level of detail and interactivity while also making every single region feel distinct and unique is unprecedented. Every region the player visits is a visual marvel and feels like a real, rugged, and lived-in place, From the dense jungles of Gongaga to the decrepit city under Junon, each open-ended
Decrepit? Jesus, man, the people are doing the best they can down there.
Level is bursting with hidden areas and secrets to uncover, and enough side activities to guide players to even the most remote areas of each region. Specific locations and areas players have been familiar with for almost 3 decades are given a second life and look closer to how we always imagined them as kids, now fully realized and completely explorable.
It's brand new.
What was your favorite or...
Okay, I think we're at the end of the video here. That transition was funny. They got some good transitions in this video. This is kind of an extension of the previous category, variations. Well, yeah, I mean, like, you look at all of the regions in this game, again, like I said, they could have made every region just a flat square or a flat circle, put a few things in it, and called it a day. But they did try to make everything feel super unique, super fun to explore. Again, Gongaga's a bit of a nightmare, but they tried to do something different, which I appreciate. But to what they said, like, I experienced this when I played 7 Remake, where the way my eyes and my head saw it as a kid is how I'm seeing it in Remake now. It's like they stuck their hand in my brain and like pulled out my visual knowledge of this game from when I was a kid and put it on screen. That's what it kind of feels like this in this game. It's incredible. All of the different music, whether it's like overworld music, combat music, music for the side quests, they put so much love and attention and work into this game and to make everything feel fresh and unique. So you're done with one region, but the next region doesn't feel like the one you were in previously. It's just so well done. Everything feels real. It feels lived in. It feels special. Even like the country western vibe of Cosmo Canyon when you're running around that environment is super cool. Running around Nibelheim, which is smaller and greatly appreciated, was so much fun. There's just so much variation in this game, and I wish it would have won Game of the Year. I know it probably didn't need to. Just being nominated was good enough. But man, to me, this was like the Game of the Year in 2024. Just like ticked off every box I look for in a Game of the Year contender. It was a fun game from beginning to end. Great writing, great characters, great gameplay, music, you name it. The game probably had it. And it just makes me really excited to see part 3. There's still so many areas that we have to visit. Oh god, that Squall image. That image of Squall without a face is nightmare fuel. I'm just so excited to get to part 3. I want to see Rocket Town. I want to see Lucrezia's cave. I want to play as Vincent. I want to get in the High Wind. I just want to see all of those new areas. Wutai, the Northern Crater. There's so many new areas that we're going to get to visit, and I just can't wait to see how they bring those areas to life and how they fill them out. You know, like, what are we going to do in those worlds, minigames, side quests, enemies? There's just so much left to do and a lot of story to tell, but I think they can nail it. With that being said, that is the video, the top 10 best and worst things about 7 Rebirth. I'm sure there's like more best and worst things that they didn't include that we've probably talked about in previous videos, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below of this video. Let me know what your favorite best thing in Rebirth is, but also let me know what is like your top worst thing about the game. Gears and Gambits, man. I couldn't do it. I did it once, got through it, didn't want to go back. With that being said, I'm Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.